Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another mini case episode. Now, this week's mini case is going to be a little different from ones we usually do because I just had to share this case with you guys, and I really want to hear your thoughts on it. So, here we go. A Texas police officer named Derek Dunn is being sued by the family of a man who committed suicide after being arrested for online soliciting of a minor. So, here are the details. In August of 2019, 41-year-old Officer Dunn was a part of a sting operation to catch pedophiles on Grindr, an app used by gay men to connect with other gay men in their area. He posed as a 14-year-old boy under the username Fresh Meat on the app and baited men by telling them his age, and if they continued to pursue any type of inappropriate relationship, they could potentially be exposed and arrested. Brian Peterson, a 39-year-old middle school teacher in Conroe, Texas, fell into this trap and started communicating with the 14-year-old. Brian reportedly asked the 14-year-old how old he was many times. The first time, Officer Dunn, posing as the 14-year-old, responded, under 18, but later he said he was 14. And despite knowing this, Brian continued communicating and even asked if the two of them could meet in person the very next day. When Brian arrived at the meetup spot the next day, he was arrested and bonded out the following day. 2 days later, Brian went to a store to buy supplies to assist him in committing suicide, returned to his apartment, and was later found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. He left behind a 5-page suicide note expressing his disappointment with the police department and even explained how he knew the person he was talking to wasn't a 14-year-old boy. He wrote, quote, "I am deeply angry with law enforcement as they destroyed me and gave me no other solutions. This is the type of accusation that destroys a career and life, no matter the outcome. I cannot live the rest of my life getting a doubting eye every time I talk to a kid near me. I will not spend the rest of my life barely surviving after losing everything, so I choose oblivion," end quote. He went on to say that he wasn't searching for underage boys on Grindr and said that he is familiar with consenting adults engaging in something called age play by pretending to be underage. He said that once he heard a voice note sent to him from Officer Dunn posing as the 14-year-old, he knew that he wasn't talking to a child, and he even indicated that he knew he was an African-American middle-aged man from that voice note. He said he trusted Grindr's guidelines that forbid underage users and impersonations, and also said that the way Officer Dunn talked was not like any other teenager he'd been used to talking to in his classroom. He wrote, quote, "Having a lot of experience with teens, their mannerisms, amongst many others, made it glaringly obviously clear you were an adult. I wasn't going to meet a teen. To me, you were a guy my age role-playing as a younger guy," end quote. Brian's parents, Douglas and Pamela Peterson, are now suing Montgomery County, citing violation of civil rights, false arrest, and malicious prosecution as their reasons for the lawsuit. They say that police did not find any criminal content on Brian's electronic devices or in his home, and that if the voice recording made by Dunn and sent to Brian via Grindr was available, it would exonerate him, but unfortunately, police no longer had that recording in their possession. If convicted, Brian would have faced 20 years in prison and would have been required to register as a sex offender. So what did you guys think about this case? I personally feel like Brian was wrong because regardless of if Officer Dunn sounded like an 80-year-old man, he identified himself as a 14-year-old, and after that, communication should have just completely stopped, especially since Grindr does not allow impersonating. Also, age play is something that both parties have to be aware is happening so that they can consent to it, and that did not happen. I also didn't see anywhere that Brian actually called Officer Dunn out, as in like letting him know that he was aware that he wasn't 14, but every place I found info on this case indicates that Brian was going along with the so-called age play. I also think it's extremely strange how he's placing all the blame on law enforcement and none on himself, like none at all. He even ended his suicide note with, quote, "I would have loved to spend more time with you all, but Montgomery County law enforcement had different ideas," end quote. Like, come on, Brian. They weren't trying to kill you. They were just trying to hold you accountable. So let me know what you guys thought about this case. I really, really want to know. We don't have to agree, but I do want to know what you guys think. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.